we have a festival going on today, and a lot of the events are down in a different building at the bottom of campus. So a lot of people accidentally went there, and we waited for them to come back up here. So again, thank you for your patience. What a beautiful day. My name is Marty Nash, and I am one of the co-advisors for Havik, the Las Positas College Journal of Literary Arts. Welcome to the 2022 publication and awards ceremony for the journal. Thank you to everyone who's here, who brought friends and family. Thank you to everyone online. You can't see it, but in front of me here is a crowd of, I'm guessing 50 people maybe. So we do have a lovely audience. So thank you. I think we might need to, Melissa, you might have to mute some folks. Thank you. Say a few words, and then Melissa Korber, our other advisor, will come up. We're going to hand out some awards, and then we're going to have an open forum where people can read from either online people or from the room. So I do want to first thank our sponsors, the Las Positas College Foundation, Richard Dunbar and Catherine Suarez, the Office of the LPC President, the California Writers Club Tri-Valley Branch, and Trish McAfee. Thank you for sponsoring us. We are very fortunate today to have the founder of Havik with us, Dave Wright. Dave, if you could just wave maybe. Thank you. He started the journal. We're still figuring out if it was 1975 or 1978, in 1978. And to my knowledge, it's been published every year except for one, maybe in the 80s. And we're not sure why that didn't happen, but we're investigating. So with that, I will introduce Melissa Korber, our co-advisor.
Here. Zoom, we're celebrating the end of our journey with this book and the beginning of yours. I'm Melissa Korber, as Marty mentioned, and I'm the co-advisor of Havik. I teach in the Journalism and Media Studies department here, and this book is produced as a collaboration between English and Journalism and Media Studies. By the way, I think I mentioned this earlier, Havik doesn't show up very well on Zoom translation, is a Dutch word meaning hawk, which is our college mascot. And it was named that a few years ago. Oh. So every year we produce this book as part of a class in spring. It's quite an endeavor to produce a 224-page book in 16 weeks, starting from zero. And I thought I would tell you a little bit about how that works. Students do it all. They solicit work from authors and artists, creatives, and academics. They review it, literally hundreds of stories, poems, academic papers, and experimental works. They create standards, they select work, they communicated with those who submitted. Then, with the help of our design mentor, who isn't here today, but the incomparable Jennifer Snook, they design, layout, copy edit, and proofread the book. They also solicit sponsorships, as Marty mentioned, from the community. And then when April hits, they start planning a big party with food, music, a slideshow, and awards. And with many highs and many lows. March, when the book's predecessor, Inside Brilliance, which some of you might have seen, it's on the table back there with the beautiful trophy. It earned a first place trophy for a literary journal from the Associated Collegiate Press National Conference. Okay, and it was competing against 2-year journals and 4-year journals. So this was quite a recognition. I was at the conference and I loved carrying around that trophy. Yeah, my students did this. It's amazing. And it was really fun to share it back in class when I returned. The conference was in Long Beach and I took a large group of students with me. People were excited to go to a conference after being online for years now. And then also the year before that, I note that our other book, our first book in the pandemic, Homeward, also earned an award at that conference. It earned 4th place the year before. So you can take a look at that. We're very proud. When we returned with the trophy, that was an incredible high. This point this year, I'm going to tell you about that, was a little over 2 weeks ago when I learned that because of a paper shortage, our usual printer would require an extra $1,000 for the book, for printing the book. We simply didn't have the money. We'd raised some money, but we didn't have that much. It was too late in the process for that kind of change, but we didn't have a choice. Dozens of phone calls and emails later, we had a new printer, one that not only charged $2,000 less, but also specialized in books and printing small lots of books. So that was an exciting moment. My highest high, maybe this semester, occurred the day the draft of the book was delivered. Our editor-in-chief opened it, and was so beautiful. The colors were just amazing. And it was such a relief after everything we'd been through. But I should say that that was my highest high until now, and probably our highest high until now, because now we are here, all of us, to share the book and to celebrate its journey to publication. And we're excited to celebrate all of you contributors to the book, because it's pretty amazing what you've done to make this happen. Thank you for coming. And now I'm happy to turn over the ceremony to our fearless leader, our editor-in-chief, Sagarika Ujjwal.
As a published contributor, a sponsor, a judge, a supporting friend or family member, or you simply just wanted to check out this event, we are honored to have you here. I would first of all like to begin by thanking and congratulating all those who contributed their work and talent to the journal, as it quite literally would not exist without you. Your work is the journal, and you really have every right to feel proud of this. So yeah, congratulations. I would also like to thank and commend Havik's advisors, Marty and Melissa, for really soldiering through and leading the way this year, despite a few unprecedented circumstances, such as a global paper shortage. Also, thank you to Havik's dedicated team, who is located around the room. Yeah, so thank you for just giving it your all, making it happen, and really transforming this book into a reality. I think those long hours really paid off in the end. Yeah, and lastly, I would like to thank the judges for diligently studying the works and accepting the challenging task of choosing our award winners. So thank you all again. Creating this edition has been a journey and a half, and just a wonderful adventure all around. From the student side of this process, which involves reviewing and anonymously grading these incredible submissions, and proofreading, designing, and compiling the journal, it's been somewhat of a roller coaster. A lot of long evenings burning the midnight oil, but it has also been so much fun, and I think we can all say we really love doing it. This edition is truly something special. It contains local art of the Bay Area and works from all around the globe. We have creators spanning Nigeria to Italy and from Poland to Malaysia, and of course, works right here in Livermore. This book also contains beautiful works of art, photography, poetry, prose, academic nonfiction, and experimental pieces. The diversity of the art, stories, and experiences within these pages is truly unmatched. Havik is really a global effort, and I think this anthology stands as a testament to what can be achieved when the world's creative minds put their talents together. So we decided on the title of this book, We Are Here, after a really beautiful work of art by the same name, which can be found in this book, created by Tomislav Silipeter. We found that the phrase really spoke to us, especially through the several layers of meaning contained within, whether it be a call for recognition, justice, and action, or an exaltation of victory and survival. The words "we are here" have the ability to mean something to anyone. And speaking of survival, it is amazing to see how this journal has survived and evolved over the years. Um, it's been going strong for about 40 years now, since it was founded in the late 70s by Professor David A. Wright at Chabot College. And almost 4 decades later, with the rise of the internet and social media, our student-run publication has reached almost every continent except for Antarctica. But maybe one day, I don't know. So all of that being said, I would like to move on and introduce our special guest and speaker and the creator of this very journal, Mr. David Wright.
I appreciate it. I started in 1975 here with 14 other instructors, and we opened the college as Valley Campus. Some of you knew that. And in 1978, we started doing anthologies. There were no computers then. That may be hard to believe that you can do an anthology without a computer. But we did these small anthologies. This one was 78 pages. And if you know Jim Ott, he produced a short story for our contest that we had. And he ended up in that one.
Okay, picture not on.
And some of these were very small, but we had calligraphers that did calligraphy. And we went to the independent newspaper, and we found out that they had a way of putting pages together once we did them on the Selectric typewriter. Anybody remember a Selectric typewriter? Those electric typewriters, that's what we did all our finished work on. And then the independent invited us to come over. I took the whole class over, and they learned how to use the machines that put the sticky, it was actually wax on the back of the paper, and then we could stick it to the pages. And you had to get it really straight. And that was a fun time. They had a great time doing that. Now we have computers that does it all for you if you know which buttons to push. Anyway, we came out with these magazines, and they were fun to do. And it was fun to work with the students on this. We did not have a collaboration between the journalistic folks and the group that put the magazine or the publication out. Basically, what we had were a 1-unit class of people in a 1-unit class. And that's what we produced this with. That's why these are so short. And I look at the one that you're doing, and it is a quantum leap above the kind of stuff that we could do. And I was startled when Richard Dry sent me the first copy a couple of years ago. And I saw what you were producing, and I thought to myself, wow, this has really grown into something spectacular. Where that comes from, I'm sure is from a collaboration of imaginative people who know how to put something together, and they can negotiate their imaginations with each other to decide on themes and various kinds of things like that, choices that they make. I wanted to talk today a little bit about the values that each of us has. If you heard the keynote speaker this morning, you know that he talked a little bit about we each have a world within us, and that world within us is who we are and what we are, and we're all different. We're all unique. And when we realize that, and that we can interact with other people to make something happen, like this collaboration that you've created, it's a wonderful thing. And there's so much dissension in the world. It's a wonderful thing to know that those kinds of things can happen. I want to tell you a little bit about my personal values. Our original publication was called Values, Visions, and Values. And I think your values determine what your vision is. Your values kind of give you a direction for where you're going in your life once you get clear on what they are. Here's some of mine. These are personal. These don't necessarily apply to you or anything like that. But I just want to read a little bit of a list that I've made up. What I decided is that it was a good idea to write out some of my values so that I could see the direction that my life was taking. I remember a professor friend of mine from Cal State University, and he said, "Oh, I tried that and it doesn't work. You can't follow those things." And I said, "Well, no, you don't follow them 100% because those are your visions and those are what you're looking for to achieve. You're reaching for these things. You don't always succeed 100%. Okay, I'm going to read some. Harm as possible as you pass through the world. And truth. Reward excellence. Others without excessive pride. Of nature, respect and protect her. Cherish beliefs and respect those of others. Readily and correct them. Ways to overcome negativity. This is knowing when to be frugal and when generous. Well, to work, to play, to grow. Our authenticity is your greatest resource. In your daily affairs and teach your children appreciation. Her own path. Stones along the way are similar for all of us. And make the trip a good one.
I know we were having some issues, but hello, my name is Nolan Shea. I had the honor of being the senior poetry and experimental editor. Is that good? We're moving on to the awards, recognizing just some of the excellent works that we have, and we are here for this year's edition of Havik. And so we're starting with the Lydia Wood Awards. It's a scholarship from a past student, and we just like to recognize some of the people in. Actually, one of our Lydia Wood Award winners. His name is Jeffrey Spivey, and he wasn't able to be here, but we still want to acknowledge everyone just because of their excellent work. And so he's getting some of the award money as well. So yeah, Jeffrey Spivey. Wasn't able to make it, but her name is Carrie Ann Torgerson. So yeah, big round of applause, and make sure to check out their work in the Havik as well. Poetry was also J.C. Riley. He also won the Lydia Wood Awards, and so he wasn't able to make it as well. But his poetry was an honor to read, and we're just happy to get the Lydia Wood Award for him. So yeah. So our third place fiction award is actually able to make it. Her name is Shelby Hicks. And so if you don't want to walk up, and we can hand you your certificate. For fiction it is actually, we have it on Zoom here. His name is Michael Chudozum Chukudera. And so he's our honorable mention for fiction. Make sure to check out his work as well. Visual arts. Our first place winner is actually here. His name is, oh yes. Oh, hello. Sorry, we're not having any of the award winners speak right now, but we have the reading section later. But thank you for making it, and congratulations for getting an award from us. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Visual arts is Aiden Ermalev. And so if you want to come on up. Thank you. For visual arts is Monique Rardin Richardson, and I believe that we have her on Zoom as well. So thank you for making it. So we're gonna mail these all along with their copies of Havik later on. And then our third place is V Merit for visual arts. So big round of applause for them as well. J.C. Riley. None of them were able to make it today, but our second place was John Gray. Third place, Tyler Olsees, and then honorable mention was also Monique Rodden Richardson. I think this is one of the only years we've had someone win 2 awards in separate categories. So that was really exciting for us, as well as an honorable mention for Maureen Mancini and Maturo. So yeah, thank you all. For creative nonfiction, we also have Charles Braithwaite, and I believe that he is on Zoom here. Thank you for making it. And so he is our first place creative nonfiction. Second place, John Leeper, as well for creative nonfiction. And third place, Kayla Sabella Weaver. And so they weren't able to make it, but again, we'll be mailing out their certificates. So yeah, thank you all. First place, academic writing. So we were able to have some professors in the classes here in Las Positas refer some of their work to us to go over and see if we wanted to add it into this year's edition. And so we actually have an academic writing section, and our first place for that was Daniel Santoyo. And so he's on here as well.
Yeah, thanks so much.
And our final award is for Samantha Steiner for our experimental works. So a big round of applause for her as well.
Is it time for the reading? Is it time for reading? Hello, hello. Hello, everyone. Am I supposed to read now? Am I supposed to read now?
Hello. I would like to share screen. This is, hello, I'm Ravi Chandra from Malaysia. In fact, I live between two countries, between India and Malaysia. This is a poem titled Keeping Faith. The sky had lost all color, as though it had seen a ghost. There were strange happenings with man-child elected emperor over in the great West, and the hands that held humanity against utter evil, losing their thumb willfully. The wintering wolf has woken up and is watching with bared teeth, while the child of spring awaits the judgment day to take over the reins of a nation falling apart. My own country, an aged blanket, frayed at its edges, is being pulled by willful children fighting for warmth. Everywhere, nations are falling, while the young struggle to keep faith. If she over there lost her calling to a faith healer, the other withdrew the healing touch from the aged and the poor. Yet there are some in distant lands, one losing his heart to his tutor, another wise beyond his years, who may show this erring, warring world of rage and brazenness a path out of this chaos. Till then, we can only wait, hoping that we spawn no monster again from our loins after these 100 years and more of keeping faith. Thank you.
Mundane, celebrate washed windows, good coffee, anything authentic to splinter loneliness and lay salve to dark days. 2, generosity, the offering of more than prayers, hands calloused on work for another, giving more than comfort allows. 3, the edge still raw, forgive. And 4, gratitude for what is and what is not, for all these fractured things, imperfections of a life truly loved.
signaling passage of many moons waxing and waning. Thin gray wisdom strands cling to delicate cheeks, framing furrowed face. Yet I failed to recognize prized silver gray medals atop her head. Instead, I watched each split end fall, filling hairbrush with precious age lessons. Sage knowledge became tangled in ratty nest, discarded in trash.
Poetry goes, I've been writing since about 8th grade, but I never showed anyone. So I decided to take a poetry class this year. And this is one of the poems that responded to a prompt we were assigned to write a paradox poem. So when I was assigned this poem, about was this long lasting frustration that I have with people who the air all the way to empathy's shore. Memorial just across the water, oblivion a low rumble under the sand. Everything is not poetry. Some things are just those. No shape beyond their outlines standing before me, silhouettes gushing about geometry. No substance beyond their fleshy hearts and all the lives they've ridden along the way, muscles writhing with memory. Some stops are just torn edges, never amputees or a binding and an absence, years pillaged from a tragically full life. Some silences are not versed. Maybe the niche left by an excavated sound, white noise in its transparency. Not frivolous or florid, though they may find communion among the roses. Not everything blue is the ocean. Each shade cannot hold its depth, its capacity for opalescence. Some things are just cerulean, like crying in concept. Tears hold no color but the one ascribed, granting life to the feeling it wields in tow. Not everything felt holds a feeling. Your salvation's voice cannot Trojan horse emotion to your doorstep, no matter how its rhythms may beat down the doors of your heart. The welts down your back, raised like the dead, are of the mind's making, a placebo-like pose. Not everything has a name, just a crafted shape in each of our mouths, the taste often more distinct than the sight of its mien. Not every bird is a sign, though they line the roads, the rooftops, just the same. Though you may feel them in the air, the whir past your ear when you turn to shake them from your periphery. The way their forms disintegrate, inversely timed with how they materialize behind your eyes. You close them to find one and open them to wake. Is it therefore the less gone? Not every view is beautiful. The lungs of these sights do not shrink or swell with your temper. It's metric in the vanishing arch of your brow. Beauty cannot live on in the distance between your eyes, nor the slope and return of your Cupid's bow. How it won't ebb and flow with the lull of your speech. Not everything is matter. Hold your atoms of the mind. That's it.
explanation are hidden in our society for so many people. I, unfortunately, firsthand experience it every day, or at least every other day. So I know what hidden ableism looks like. When I was reading the story, it stood out to me so boldly, almost yelling at me. I figured that my classmates wouldn't have seen it, so I wrote my second essay assignment on Cathedral. When I got my research paper assignment, I was excited to do the topic again with research evidence backing my thoughts up. I knew that I had enough to say about the topic. The topic of ableism is not in the forefront in our society, like how it should be. During my research, I found a lot of PhD doctors who didn't have a disability to overcome. Although they had a good idea of it, they don't know what it is like to have an individual treat you differently because you're disabled. People often don't mean it. I'm sure that the author, Raymond Carver, did not mean to write the narrator in an ableist viewpoint. During the time of the original date when it was published, disabilities were not in the forefront in our society. However, identifying Robert as the blind man downgrades his life, abilities, and his accomplishments. That was the first red flag that I saw. As the narrator continued to dictate this memory of the visit, the amount of red flags just grew after each paragraph. By the fourth page, I mentally had at least 10 red flags. It took the narrator 3 whole pages for him to disclose Robert's name. He tried to paint Robert as a thing that shouldn't be living. Unfortunately, people who had disabilities back then were often tucked away in a room where they weren't seen. I got my injury at birth, so I have dealt with discrimination all of my life. Writing my paper allowed me to dive deeper into the topic and gained a new understanding of the history and how ableism transformed throughout the years. Yes, the society is better. 30 plus years ago, what I'm doing today never would have been thought of. So, thank you, Professor Mullering, for seeing the opportunity for my work to be pushed to a limit that I never thought possible. Additionally, I want to thank the Havik's professors who took the time to read my work and pick it as one of the winners. Finally, I want to thank my family, friends, and staff members who have been supporting me on my journey. I wouldn't be here today without you all. Go Hawks!
Woo, Kevin! We love you.
Thank you so much, Kevin. That was amazing. And we loved your paper. We absolutely loved it. Being recorded, so if you want the recording, we'll make it available. Last year we made it available through our website. Okay.
Boris, who's 34 years old. I've had him since he was 5. And what I've seen is as he gets older and older, I've become away. Such care you display. And I want to ask you, who gives a shit? Thank you.
Out tires back toward the East Coast. Mother thought he was you in a Buick named Thunder. Muscular arms, white cotton t-shirt, cigarette dangling between his lips. On the road, on the dashboard, back seat jammed with books by Hess and Camus and record albums, not the jazz you preferred, but the Stones' sultry Laura Nero. When he called collect on rare occasions, Mom said, "Where are you? Did you run out of money?" The same questions, Jack, your mother must have asked you, and went the golden boy of Lowell. And when you returned, she welcomed you, made stew and baked bread. Mom cringed at the sight of thunder and a girl tucked alongside.
இங்க இதே இல்ல சவுண்டே வந்துட்டு சரியா இல்ல
Uh, we would like to give you a chance to read again.
Hello. Um, the title of my story is going to visit Adiswa. So I would like to read. I would like to read the last two paragraphs of this story. You know, I would like to read the last part of this story, which is the fourth part. It says, "My legs are heavy as I reach our home. It was as if I would not reach." My legs are heavy as I reach our home. It was as if I would not reach at all when I was coming. As I passed through the passage, I can hear my father practicing Usita Osadebe's Makojo Anigibio with his piano inside his room. But I go through the passage into my room. With force, I kick out my shoes from my legs, and one flies towards the window, the other towards my father's bookshelf, which he kept in our room. And I fall on top of my bed and start crying the cry that I did not cry in school, because I did not believe Adesua had died. I wish I could still continue not believing it, but her brother could not have lied to me. All these things are going up and down in my mind as I am crying. I look up and I see my father standing next to my bed, and I try to control the cry, but I cannot. I am crying and having hiccups. I know my father hates to see me cry. I know he would rather beat me than console me, because for him, a man cannot cry, only women. So I try more to control the crying when I see him. But the more I try to control the cry, the more it comes out. When my father sees that it is not an ordinary cry, he asks me what happened. And I tell him while I am still crying that my friend, who is my classmate in school, died when I traveled to Lagos for holidays, and I continue crying. For the first time in my life, my father is not telling me to not cry as a man, but he comes to sit next to me and hugs me. I feel as if they poured cold water on my body, even though my father's body was warm. The surprise made me cry even more. It's okay, my son, he says. I try again to control my crying, but I cannot control it. So I keep crying in my father's arms. If Adesua could die like this, I know now for the first time in my life that anybody can die without expecting it. Thank you. I know for the first time in my life that anybody can die without expecting it. Thank you.
In person, Francesca Piazza, reading Sick on page 114. enjoy the rest of your day or night, in whichever time zone you are, if you're online. And I hope that you enjoy reading this book. For everyone that is in person, feel free to stick around, enjoy the food, and check out some of the art we have around. And if you haven't already, you can purchase a book at the back if you're not a contributor. If you're a contributor, you do get a free copy, so make sure you have one of those. And for people online, you can purchase a book on the Havik website. And lastly, the Literary Arts Festival is still taking place on campus, and there are some really cool events going on, such as the Poetry Slam that's taking place later on tonight. So if you find that interesting, be sure to check that out. And yeah, I think that is all. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, everyone.